The rain came down hard that night. Cal Warren stood at his back door with a cup of coffee in his hand, watching the storm roll in from the west. He was 61 years old, lived alone on a 20-acre property outside of Cedar Falls, Iowa, and had not been surprised by much in the last 10 years. He figured that was just what happened when you got older. So when he saw the shape on his porch, he did not scream. He did not run. He just stood there for a moment, looking at it. It was big. Very big. The size of a draft horse, maybe larger. It had dark scales that looked almost black in the rain, and 2 enormous wings folded tight against its sides. One of the wings was torn badly, and there was a dark stain spreading across the planks of the porch floor. The creature was breathing, but each breath came slow and rough, like something working very hard just to stay alive. Cal set down his coffee cup. He went to the closet, pulled out an old canvas tarp, and walked outside into the rain. The creature did not move when he approached. It opened one eye, a deep amber color, and watched him. Cal shook out the tarp and laid it gently over the creature's back. He went back inside, filled a large bucket with water, and brought it out. Then he went to the freezer and pulled out 2 thick cuts of beef he had been saving. He set them near the creature's head without a word. The creature looked at the meat. Then it looked at Cal. Then it lowered its head and ate slowly. Cal went back inside, dried off, and sat down in his chair by the window. He kept the porch light on. He watched until the breathing out there became steady and quiet, and then he went to bed. He did not know what the creature was. He did not know where it had come from. But it was hurt and it was tired, and that was enough for Cal Warren to make a decision. 3 days passed. The creature stayed on the porch, then moved slowly into the yard when its strength began to return. Cal watched it from the kitchen window each morning while he made his coffee. It moved carefully, testing the torn wing, folding it back when the pain was too much. Cal started calling it Gray, because of the color its scales turned in the daylight. He did not think it was its real name. He did not think it had a real name that a human mouth could say. His neighbor Diane Foster came by on the second morning. She stood at the fence with her mouth open for a long moment before she found her words. "Cal," she said, "what in the world is that thing on your property?" "Hurt animal," Cal said. "That is not an animal. That is an alien. There are government people who handle this. You are supposed to call them." "Maybe I will," Cal said, and went back inside. He did not call anyone. Instead, he strung motion lights around the property and checked the fence line. He was not afraid of the creature. He was more afraid of what happened when the wrong people showed up to take something away before it was ready to go. The news that week was full of strange reports. A convoy of alien vessels had been attacked in high orbit several days prior. One ship had gone down, and a high-value passenger was listed as missing. The government gave no name and no species. Cal watched the broadcast, looked out the window at Gray resting under the old oak tree, and turned off the television. On the 4th day, a Bureau drone buzzed low over the property. Gray looked up at it with those amber eyes, perfectly still, and the drone moved on. That evening, Gray used one claw to draw a long, careful line in the dirt near the porch steps. Then another. Then a shape Cal did not recognize. It sat back and looked at him. Cal studied the shape for a while. "I don't know what that means," he said honestly. "But I see that you made it." Gray made a low sound in its chest. Not quite a growl. Not quite words. But something in between that Cal felt more than heard. On the 6th day, Gray spoke. Cal was sitting on the porch steps in the early evening, watching the sky turn orange. Gray was nearby, and its injured wing had healed enough to stretch out part way without causing pain. The two of them had spent several evenings like this, quiet and comfortable, which Cal had come to appreciate more than he expected. Then Gray said, in slow and careful English, like someone working through a language one word at a time, "You did not ask who I was." Cal thought about it. "Didn't seem like the right time," he said. Gray was quiet for a moment. Then, "Most would have asked immediately." "Most people get nervous," Cal said. "Nervous people ask a lot of questions." That seemed to settle something for the creature. It exhaled long and low, and when it spoke again, the words came a little more easily. Gray told him that its people were called the Verithi. They had been traveling the stars for thousands of years before humans had learned to write things down. They were not at war, exactly, but there were those among them who did not agree on how things should be led, and sometimes that disagreement became violent. Cal listened without interrupting. "I was struck down by those who wanted me gone," Gray said. "They believed removing me would change the direction of my people." "And will it?" Cal asked. "Not if I return." The next morning, a man named Pete Collier from the Alien Contact Bureau arrived at the gate with 2 other officials and a translation drone. They had matched the bio-signature on Cal's property to the Verithai species, and they were polite but firm. Cal walked out to the gate and stood there with his arms folded. "We'd like to speak with whatever is on your property, sir," Pete said. "It is not ready for visitors," Cal said. "Sir, this may be a matter of interstellar." "Come back tomorrow," Cal said. "With paperwork." He went back inside. That night, Gray told him the last piece of the truth. It was not a soldier. It was not a refugee. It was the sovereign commander of the Verithai Armada, the highest authority among its people, a leader responsible for hundreds of worlds and billions of lives. Cal sat with that for a while. "You still ate my steaks," he said finally. "So I figure you are all right." By the morning of the 8th day, the whole world knew. The story had leaked through interstellar channels first, then down through Earth's orbital monitoring station, then into every news broadcast on the planet. The Verithai sovereign, the most powerful figure in one of the oldest civilizations in the known galaxy, had been missing for over a week. And now it had been found. On a farm in Iowa. Being looked after by a retired veteran who had not even filed a report. Cal's property went from quiet to very loud in a matter of hours. Earth military units set up a perimeter on the road. 2 Verithai ships, loyal to Gray, descended to low orbit and held position. 3 other vessels, belonging to the faction that had ordered the attack, were tracked at the edge of the system and denied approach clearance by Earth's orbital defense grid. It was the first time in recorded history that Earth had formally blocked an interstellar political operation. A woman named Carol Oakes, the Secretary of General Affairs, arrived by helicopter in the afternoon. She was sharp, serious, and clearly trying very hard to stay calm. "Mr. Warren," she said, "do you understand what is on your property?" "I do now," Cal said. "Then you understand why we need to transfer the sovereign to a secure." Cal held up a hand. He turned and looked at Gray, who was standing calmly in the yard behind him. "Do you want to go with them?" he asked. Gray looked at Carol and the line of officials behind her. "Not yet," it said. Cal turned back. "Not yet," he repeated. Carol stared at him. "Mr. Warren, there are 4 alien delegations waiting and an interstellar incident in progress." "I understand that," Cal said. "Come back when Gray is ready." He went inside and made dinner. That evening, Cal's son Ryan called from Seattle. The conversation was short and awkward in the way that conversations between fathers and sons sometimes are when they have not spoken in a while. But at the end, Ryan said he was coming home. Cal told him to take his time but to come. On the porch that night, Gray told Cal about a concept in Verithai culture. The one who shelters without asking is called a sky friend. It is not a title that is given easily. It is given to those who see worth before they see rank. Cal looked out at the dark fields. "I was just raised right," he said. Gray made that low sound again. The one that felt more like understanding than anything a word could carry. On the 10th morning, Gray said it was ready. Cal put on a clean shirt and his good boots and walked out into the field beside the house. It was a cool, clear morning, the kind that Iowa does well in early autumn, with a pale sky and long shadows on the grass. They came in quietly after that. Carol Oakes and her team. Verithai delegates from the loyal ships in orbit, who descended in a small craft that landed near the tree line without a sound. Pete Collier and 2 junior bureau officials stood off to the side, looking very aware that they were witnessing something that would be in history books. Gray stood in the center of the field. It was fully healed now, its scales a deep and steady color, its wings folded with calm authority. It looked nothing like the broken creature that had collapsed on Cal's porch 10 days ago. Gray spoke first in Verithai, a sound like deep bells and wind through stone. Then it turned and spoke in English, slowly and clearly, so Cal would not miss a word. It said that it had been found near death by a human who asked for nothing, who explained nothing and required nothing, who had seen a hurt living thing and done what needed to be done without any thought of what it might mean or what might come of it. It said this was not a small thing. It said this was, in the understanding of the Verithi, the truest measure of a civilization. Carol Oakes was writing something very fast in her notebook. Gray announced that humanity was to be formally recognized as a protected ally of the Verithi sovereignty, the first new designation of its kind in over 600 years. Then Gray walked to where Cal stood and placed one large clawed hand, very gently, on his shoulder. The translator drone beside Pete spoke quietly. Among the Verithi, this gesture is given only between equals. Cal gave a single nod. The ship at the tree-line opened. Gray walked toward it and did not look back, which Cal understood. Some goodbyes are carried better that way. Ryan's car pulled up the driveway just in time to watch the ship rise without a sound and disappear into the clouds. Cal stood in the field for a moment longer. Then he went inside and put on a pot of coffee. Some months later, a Verithi delegation arrived at the United Nations. They did not come to negotiate. They came to deliver a single item to Cal Warren personally. It was a small carved stone, old beyond any easy reckoning, smooth and dark and warm to the touch. The accompanying letter said it was given only to those who had earned the title of Sky Friend. Cal set it on the windowsill next to a photo of his late wife. Then he went outside to fix the gutters, which had been needing it for a while.